Welcome back to Real Estate with Mariah and Spenc. Today we are talking about a 15-year versus a 30-year mortgage. Maybe you're someone who is thinking about purchasing a home for the first time, and this is something you just don't know anything about, and you hear, different conflicting opinions out there about which one is best. Hopefully by the end of today's show, you'll have a little bit more clarity as to which option is best for you, because as we'll talk about, there certainly are pros and cons to both 15-year and 30.
There certainly are. And being a first-time home buyer, you are a little confused sometimes. You don't know what the best option is for you because personally you don't know quite yet. So that's why I do always recommend leave the money with the lenders. Us realtors, we have the keys to get you in the home. We have the opportunities to write you the offers of the selected home. But when it comes to your finances, your monthly payment, your mortgage, anything to do with like numbers for purchase, we always recommend you do talk to a lender. And if you need a preferred partner lender, let us know. We're happy to DM you his contact and get you where you need to be, and you'll be on with your way in purchasing a home.
Yes. And also to add, this is going to be very basic, like 15-year versus 30-year mortgage for dummies, because they're, like Spencer said, we aren't mortgage professionals. We are real estate professionals. They're two, I know people don't really understand all the time, but they are two very separate jobs, and you need both. You want someone who's an expert at each. However, there is a line that we aren't able to cross because legally there's certain, things we're not able to talk about and advice we're not able to give as far as lending goes, because that's not our license. We are licensed realtors. So
way to say that.
We're going to keep it a little bit simple here, but you're still going to want to watch until the end because it's going to be good information you need to know, if you're buying. Okay, so just a little quick lowdown of how we're going to do today's show. A lot of times we come on here every week, by the way. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell. We come on every single week and talk about real estate. We just have like a laid back conversation as a husband and wife in real estate, giving real estate tips. But a lot of times we really prefer to wing it. That's how we just enjoy our show. Just kind of like talking off of our own experience as realtors and for ourselves buying and selling. However, this show, I wrote it like a year ago. If I'm just like doing something and I just get, maybe I'm at the gym or whatever, I just get like inspiration for a video idea, I'll just write it down in my notes and then leave it there for whenever we come back to it. So this was something I did, was one of those situations where I got an idea, got some thoughts and wrote them down, and haven't revisited it since last year. So we're going to read through these.
It's a never ending topic.
Yeah. So if we're reading through, that's why. But anyway. Okay, so what is the difference between them? We're going to start off with that 15-year versus 30-year mortgage. So here are some unbiased facts that you probably want to know up front about the two. 30-year mortgages are used 86% of the time.
It's that high?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So basically, the 30-year mortgage is going to make your mortgage payment more affordable. That's not a biased opinion. That's a fact.
Well, and here's why, though. Can we explain that, or are we going to explain it? Okay,
no.
So there's a difference, obviously, 30 versus 15. Well, 30 is 2 times 15. So you get further stretched out payments. Your payments are definitely going to be lower with a 30-year mortgage. So first-time home buyers, that's why sometimes this is the best option for you. But ultimately, the big difference, the big kicker, I would say, between a 15 and a 30-year mortgage is the interest in the long run, the interest you're going to be paying on the home in the long run. So compared to paying, on a $250,000 home, you'll be paying roughly, $300,000 plus home, you'll be paying 180 something in interest. On a 30-year mortgage. On a 15-year mortgage, you're only going to be paying around like 80. So if you look at it in the short-term goal versus long-term goal, your interest and the amount of the existing loan, you're going to be paying more out of pocket. So that is really the big key difference. And it really does depend, though. And this is what I would do. I would focus and sit down with your financial advisor and say, what makes sense for me? This is my current job. This is my real estate goals. So if you have a real estate goal, building a real estate portfolio, this might be a real sit down you need to have with your financial advisor, your CPA, and ultimately your lender, because your monthly payment's going to dramatically change between a 15 and a 30-year mortgage. The reason why home buyers, first times especially, gear towards a 30-year mortgage is because of the payment. It's generally going to be lower. It could be $800, $900 lower. 55% is the average lower payment you're going to get between a 15 and a 30-year mortgage. So if you do the math, what makes sense for you?
Yeah, that's really good information. Thank you for adding that. Okay, so keep... Sorry, I don't have anything to...
No, you're good. Yeah, keep going. I maybe touched on a lot of your points just now.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going down the list, and then if you have anything to throw in, throw it in.
Yeah.
Okay. In a 30-year mortgage, of course, that balance shrinks much slower. The lower payment may allow a borrower to buy more house than they would be able to afford with a 15-year loan, since the same monthly payment would allow the borrower to take out a larger loan over 30
That's a big
years.
point, though.
That is a big
That's
point.
a big point.
Yep.
And what she means by larger house, is that what it was? Was that what
you
the
can't
vocabulary
afford,
used?
Yes, I mean, you can't afford the monthly pay. So you're going to buy $1 million home. I can't afford the monthly payment on $1 million home if I have a 15-year mortgage, because the payment's going to go up so much.
Not the house physically, but the house financially.
Yes.
So the house that costs more, you're going to probably be in a lower price category at a 15-year mortgage rather than a 30-year, because your debt to income's but what you can afford monthly on it. Because like I said, 15 versus a 30-year, on average, your monthly payment is going to be 55% higher using a 15% more or 15-year mortgage.
Yes. Okay, another unbiased fact about these two loans. So having that lower payment would allow a borrower to build up savings, potentially. I mean, but some people wouldn't use it for that anyway. Just seeing it, they would spend it anyway. So it's like, just depends on.
Can I go
situation.
on the opposite spectrum?
Go for it.
Okay. So if you're here's one cool thing. If you're living in a real estate market that is so high when it comes to equity growth, like we've been in the last 4 years, you maybe were better off to do a 15-year mortgage. And here's why. Your savings account only goes up certain percentages every month, right? But real estate, we've been known to go 16, 20, even 22% year over year over the last 4 years. So if you're putting your money more towards real estate than an interest account, basically putting your mortgage as your savings account rather than a real savings account, you're putting more of your savings into the 15-year mortgage. And if you were to look to resell in short-term time, you're going to make a lot more money on that profit that you've been putting in monthly. So some people use a 15-year mortgage as a savings account. That's a different outlook.
That makes sense. No, that's a really good way to look at it. That's a different perspective that, we don't hear from a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing, the lower monthly payment frees up your money, or frees up funds for other goals. And then the last thing to note is it frees up your money to buy more investments that are going to make you more money. So that is if you're choosing to go with the 30-year mortgage.
Which I mean, it comes down to those financial goals once again.
Yes.
And that's why I always recommend talking with your CPA, talking with your real financial advisor based off of your current money you're making.
Yes.
What's the best decision for you? Because like I said, some people are going to have different real estate goals. Some people just want to buy a house and live in it for that 30 years, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, totally.
Everybody wants to have a roof over their head and be comfortable at the same time.
Totally.
So.
Okay, so now I'm going to read off some facts about a 15-year mortgage here.
Okay.
So generally, it's going to cost less in the long haul. We all know that. A shorter term loan means a higher monthly payment, which makes the 15-year mortgage seem less affordable, but the shorter term makes the loan cheaper in several fronts. So in fact, over the full life of a loan, a 30-year mortgage will end up costing more than double the 15-year option. I didn't realize it was double, like more than double. That's a significant amount.
The amount of interest you're paying, like I said, over time, it's pretty astronomically high. I was reading an article, if I can revert to it real quick. Here we go. Yeah. So over the month of the mortgage, you'll pay versus a 15-year. So let's see if I'm reading the right article. Okay. I'm there. So sorry guys. Sorry. Less affordability. That's where we're at. So over the length of the loan, on the other hand, a 30-year loan for $250,000 would result in a $1,100 a month payment versus a 15-year mortgage. It's going to be around $1,800. So that's your monthly payment. But what she was saying was over the life of the loan, you're going to be paying more in interest. So it comes back to that 55%, because you're doubling year over year.
Right.
So 15 versus 30, that's 2 times the amount of payments as well. So if you're looking at that interest, that's how you're going to be paying more in interest. What I do have to say about that, what I was originally thinking, sorry, that article didn't really pan out, but what I was originally thinking is that in a 30-year mortgage, a lot of people do this. They're either going to make an additional payment, meaning your monthly mortgage, they're going to pay a little bit more on top of that to cut down the interest if they don't want to pay their 30-year. So they'll cut their interest in half.
Right.
Or they purchase a 30-year mortgage, live in it for 15 years. Depending on the interest rates in 15 years, they refinance it. And they refinance it using a 15-year mortgage. So that sometimes saves them interest over time. And that's what she was just pointing out. So there are methods that people use that cut down that interest rate that you're not paying double in over time.
Right, definitely. Okay, so this next one is important to know, I think, because 15-year loans are less risky for banks than 30-year loans, and because it costs the bank less to make shorter-term loans than it does longer-term loans, a 30-year mortgage typically comes with a higher interest rate. So that is one reason why you see people wanting a 15-year mortgage is for that lower interest rate, of course, if they're able to. So the price for saving so much money over the long run is a much higher monthly outlay. The payment on the 15-year loan is about 38% more than the payment for the 30-year loan. So like we've been talking about, you're going to have that higher payment. You're going to pay it off quicker and it'll cost you less in the long run. But in simple terms, a lot of people simply can't. A lot of people simply can't do a 30-year loan. It's just, a 15-year loan. It's just not an option for them. Right. So is that the situation where it's like, well, don't wait to buy until you can? Because I sell real estate and I have seen so many times where buyers have purchased with 30-year loans. I've seen buyers purchase with, we talk about this a lot, but like using $0 down, loans that typically have higher interest rates that are definitely not the most awesome terms for them. But I've seen buyers purchase that and still win and walk away super happy, living in the home, making it their own, building equity instead of paying rent, which is only going up. I don't think you should wait if you can't. I think it's a personal decision, but
which is what I wanted to talk to you about is like, you've been in business going on 8 years now. Yes. How many 15-year mortgages have you worked with, honestly? If not any? Not many. I can't,
honestly, I'm trying to think back to when was the time the last time I can remember doing a 15-year. That's not a common thing. It's very uncommon. No, so if you're someone who, as two people who sell a lot of houses and we work with, I would say a pretty wide demographic. Yeah. We're not just only working with first-time buyers, which would be understandable to not see a lot of 30-year mortgages because most first-time buyers can't afford a 15-year mortgage. But we work with a very wide variety of different types of people in different areas of life, and that's just not something we see a lot.
I don't think I've ever worked with a 15-year mortgage. Like if I could be honest, I don't think I ever have, which is pretty wild. That's pretty crazy. I've worked with tons of zero downs. I've worked with VA zero downs, but everything comes back to a 30-year loan term, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do think it is a mindset of an American. We want to put our money elsewhere, and we understand that we could rely on the asset we're buying right now to appreciate over time. Because in life, just like we always say, if you're renting right now, you're not creating wealth for yourself. You're not creating equity because you're not actually owning something. In a lifetime, 30 years owning real estate, it can really appreciate over time. And so that's why I don't think buying in a 30-year mortgage rather than 15 years is really going to be the life and death of buying or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
you're going to be in a good spot regardless.
Totally. I completely agree with you on that 100%. So to end things off for the show, I'm going to share a quote by Dave Ramsey and then some thoughts that I wrote out on it. Again, like I said, I wrote this show like a year ago. I have not taken a single look at it since. And so I hope what I wrote made sense. We'll see. I'm just going to read it.
I'm ready.
Okay. So the quote from Dave Ramsey is, apparently he said, never buy a house unless it is with a 15-year mortgage. That's his advice. That's his advice. But you know I
wonder if he's still saying that.
There's the Dave Ramsey, and then there's different, there's a lot of different financial gurus who you can follow that give different, there's Rabbi Daniel Lapin or whatever, who's a lot more like business minded for people who are, and Dave is, I feel like, more for someone that is like a school teacher or like a stable income, not necessarily investor. Like there's different ways to manage your money and different goals people can have. And I think that there's different financial people to follow depending on your goals. But anyway, that I don't think that that's like for everyone though. So here's my thoughts apparently on this. Yes, you are paying more interest with a 30-year mortgage on the surface, but when you look into this further, it doesn't make sense. You have to think about inflation. With an average inflation rate of about 2% a year, your money is going further, your money in the future is going to be worth a lot less than it is today, meaning the total amount of interest you see is going to be significantly less than the number you're seeing because you're paying it down in today's dollars. You can pretty much get a better return anywhere else than you can paying off the interest on your mortgage. In my opinion, like I said, he has some really great advice, but I think that's like one of the worst pieces of real estate advice is wait to buy a house until you have. I just completely agree with that. If I'm being honest, month to month, the risk is less for a 30-year mortgage because your payments are lower. So that's my opinion a year ago. It hasn't changed. I can say hasn't changed.
Yeah,
I still agree with me.
And I'm on the fence though. I'm not saying if you can't buy. Unless it's a 15-year mortgage, don't buy real estate. I completely disagree with that one. But his inflation, what he just talked about, right? That was somewhat accurate. I like that point. But my big but that I'm on the fence with, as a business owner, as a business guy that's been surrounded by really good mentors and watching and just doing, in fact, is there's a difference between good debt and bad debt. I wouldn't say all real estate is good debt, but what I can say is we can use our debt as leverage to get other things and other assets to move money around and gain more equity and more wealth for you, whether it's in real estate or not. We can use the power of real estate to produce more equity and then create more business. So if you're wanting to do a startup business, something, you can actually use your personal property and take out a second mortgage, do something. Use what you currently own as as its own financer. Okay, so you're not having to go out and get money from randoms, and have debts over your head, because sometimes those are good debts, but I would consider oftentimes them being bad debts because of the amount of interest you pay over time.
Right.
With those independent parties.
It is, all I have to say is it is so circumstantial.
Yes.
Is what it comes down to. Like just about everything we talk about on our show. We just gave you guys the facts. We gave you our opinion. We gave you Dave's opinion, someone else's opinion. So hopefully just take.
I love the guy though.
I do too. He has a lot of great information. I'm not like,
Absolutely.
I think he's awesome. So anyway, we just gave you a lot of information about 15-year mortgages and 30-year mortgages. So now you can, with that information, make the best decision for you and your personal situation. And hopefully you grab some sort of value from today's show. So if you watch this video all the way through, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting, our channel in
Real
our
Estate
business.
and Ryan Spenc, we thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys. Seriously. I say this all the time, whether I'm in public, whether I'm on camera, whether I'm talking to somebody directly, just like you guys right now. We would not be here without your support. And this creates us to be more successful. So thank you so much for circulating our channel, but also circulating our name. It's just like that mechanic shop. If you don't know the guy, you always ask a friend, and you're usually going to go with whoever that friend says. So once again, thank you for supporting us with the Vettrus Crawford Realty Group.